What is up, guys? Mateo's 2020 Politics here, and today we are here to discuss a smug MSNBC anchor clearly attempting to smear Bernie Sanders in an interview. So as you can probably tell, I'm doing daily videos now because what happened was that I made a video on AOC, and then when Nina Turner announced her candidacy for the Senate, or for the House the next day, I had to make a video on it. And I'm like, you know what? Why not just make daily videos? It's kind of fun. I used to do this before, but I stopped for some reason. So, getting into the topic of the video, Bernie Sanders was invited onto MSNBC to discuss the stimulus bill about 1 week ago, and after answering some questions, she suddenly asked him something which was very clearly an attempt to smear him. So let's check it out, and then we'll discuss.
You know, Stephanie, I always get a kick. Here in Washington, when we go to war, there's endless amounts of money. Tax breaks for billionaires, endless amounts of money. Corporate welfare, endless amounts of money. When children are going hungry in America today, suddenly we don't have enough money. That's crap. That's wrong. And if we have got to stay here throughout Christmas, which is the last thing in the world that I would want to do, we're going to stay here because we are going to make sure that struggling working families in this country get the help they desperately need.
Senator, I'm not agreeing with you fundamentally, but I want to talk to you practically. You've been the lead sponsor of 422 bills during your 30 years in Congress, but only 7 of them have become law. Given that record and how dire things are, as you just laid out, do you need to find another lane or take a different approach here?
Dear God, you could just sense the hatred. Bernie was just talking about the stimulus bill and how, hey, we're spending so much money overseas when we could be spending it on healthcare and not just bailing out the top 1%. Completely reasonable. You know, he is a man of his word, really. Whether you're a Republican or Democrat, you gotta admit, he's well-intentioned. Like, he is clearly out for the little guy. And what's funny is as he was talking about, you know, the working people, this and that, you saw in her eyes, you saw in the reporter's eyes, there was, like, hatred. She was like things, you could just see it in her eyes, but wow, that was just super abrupt. I mean, you'd think that he was at a presidential debate with that question, really. Are you going to take another lane or approach? What else is he supposed to do? Cut the price by 600? No, really. Mrs. Reporter, you told him, hey, your bills are really ineffective. Do you think you should take another lane or approach here? Okay, I'm waiting for you. What other lane or approach should he take? Because all he's doing now is trying to raise the stimulus check from $600 to $1,200 for American citizens. What else is he supposed to do? Lower it? That wouldn't be good. See, this is what I mean. The media is constantly trying to smear these progressives who are clearly well-intentioned. So, if you were one to never buy that theory or never actually believe that the media was trying to smear progressives and always thought that the media covers progressives fairly, then I hope this clip changed your mind, because this isn't the only example we have of this. This was very blunt, but we have seen worse. The media, whether it's CNN, ABC, MSNBC, they're all just a bunch of corporate news outlets, really. They're out there to praise the corporate politicians, Wall Street, and then they're there to attack the progressives and the people looking out for the working people. That's really what this situation is. That's what's going on here. But then, yeah, going on to her question, her entire point was just out of nowhere. She basically said, why are you so ineffective? When she was citing all the bills. Ma'am, in case you don't know, Bernie's nickname is the Amendment King. He is known as the Amendment King in Congress. He is known for being very effective. And looking into Bernie's career, throughout the entirety of his career, he has constantly fought for working people. He's done nothing but do things to help the working people. Now, helping the working people isn't exactly a popular thing to do in Congress, because they're all just in it for themselves. They like the power, they like the wealth. They don't care about the working people. Like, you can go back on YouTube and see clips of him back in the 90s talking about why gays should be in the military and him just defending homosexuals. Later on talking about the military budget and how we could spend more money on healthcare and education. Super consistent. His entire career, even since the 80s when he was mayor in Vermont, he's been doing nothing but attempting to help the working people and put all his effort into that. So, given that, how about instead of attacking him, you attack other congresspeople for not voting for his policies? Yeah, how about you attack other congresspeople for not wanting to help the working people? Because that seems worse to me. Why attack the person who's trying to help the people and not the people who don't care? Like, why attack the one that's actually trying to help? It's ridiculous, really. I mean, her bias was clear here. MSNBC didn't release any statement, saying, we're sorry that it was very harsh. No, because they have a bias against him. They're in it for the money. That's a reality. Looking at his bills, consistently they have been out there to help the working people. These are things like Medicare for All, right? The Medicare for All Act of 2017. Social Security, the $15 minimum wage. So all those bills he has, sponsored or co-sponsored. So how about, instead of attacking him for trying to help the people and for being well-intentioned, you attack other congresspeople for not voting for those bills, for only listening to their donors, not actually caring about the American people? How about that? But no, they don't care. They really don't care. Because outlets like MSNBC are just out there to defend Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden. They're just out there to defend the status quo, really. Clear bias from that reporter against them. Dare I even say hatred? That just came out of nowhere. Like, if I were in her shoes, I would just have too much empathy. That's just harsh. Like, who in the middle of an interview says, I agree with what you're saying, I think it's great what you're doing, but look at your bills. You have barely gotten anything passed. Do you think you should take another lane or approach to actually get stuff done? Like, I wouldn't be able to do that. That's just too harsh. I would feel bad for the person, really. This is why back in January, Bernie Sanders allegedly berated, as the media phrased it, MSNBC for not covering his campaign fairly. Before one of the starts of the debates, he was criticizing NBC for not, fairly covering his campaign. Because if you actually looked into the statistics, it turns out that when compared to Bernie Sanders' poll numbers, which I think were about, 20% at the time, when comparing that to the amount of coverage he got, it was disproportionate. So he received less coverage than his poll numbers, meaning if his poll numbers were 20%, he only got 10% of the coverage. So very clear that when the media sees there is a progressive with lots of support, they will go after them, and they will try to smear them relentlessly. That's the reality. That's it. Because nowadays, when everyone was saying, I'm going to support Joe Biden, but let's just push him left. After he wins, we're going to push him left. Now that we're doing it, the media's pissed off at us. They're saying, why are you trying to divide the country? Joe Biden's going to serve all people. Whoa, you just said let's push him left after the election. We're pushing him left, we're criticizing him, and you're getting offended. So, clear bias. Clear bias. It's really astonishing, man. Like, the way they will try to ruin the reputation of people who are very clearly out there to help the working people, but then when they're politicians who are trying to bail out corporations, nothing, silence. Man, I don't know what we're going to do with this country. I mean, these media outlets are every day continuously misinforming voters. They're miseducating them about the political climate. I don't know if it's on purpose, but I'm assuming it is because nobody is this out of touch. Like, the media has to know that Medicare for All has a 72% approval rating. They have to know it's that popular, that 72% of Americans want it. They have to. There's no way they don't know that. But they constantly try to frame it as being extreme or far left, when in reality, it really aligns with the average American's views. So, if anything, Medicare for All is the centrist policy. The right-wing policy is private insurance, or Obamacare, dare I say. But yeah, it really is a rabbit hole, because with someone who's just getting into politics, they're gonna probably first check out mainstream news outlets, and they're going to get the wrong view on politics because their news website that they're watching is actively misinforming them about the political climate. I myself used to be one of those people. I used to have the whole Democrat good, Republican bad. I used to have that view too. But a few months ago, probably no, back in like July, I really began to turn around. Like I used to be a Democratic Party loyalist, and during the presidential primaries of 2020, like I was still a progressive, but I had the whole view of, yeah, I like Bernie, he's my favorite, but if Biden wins, we're going to support him over Trump because Trump is terrible, Democrats are good. Like I had that view, but I really turned around in the summer. So like I know it's like the people who are stuck in that view of Democrat good, Republican bad, I get them. Like I was there at some point. And it's not even their fault. It's the media's fault for constantly, either intentionally or unintentionally, misinforming them about the current state of affairs. Trying to shift the Overton window. We have to fight against this. Like, we did a good job here. After this clip went viral, progressives were really upset. It received lots of criticism. I don't see anyone defending it. I see nobody defending this clip. Every time something like this happens where a reporter clearly has a bias towards a progressive politician and they try to smear them, we have to harass that clip. We have to go all out and really be vocal. With that said, this was Mateo's 2020 Politics, soon to be the Mateo Fisher Show in 2021. See you all later and have a nice day.